Cassie from the food team.
Hi, I'm Sam from the Good Food team.
Hi everybody, I'm Helena. I'm the food content producer here at Good Food.
And I'm going to show you my lamb Kleftiko.
I'm going to be showing you how to make an easy roast leg of lamb.
And today I'm going to be showing you how to make my delicious slow-cooked harissa lamb. So to start off, we're going to make our harissa paste, and we start with a base of some dried chilies. Now we've got some small spicy dried chilies here, but you could use something like a chipotle chili or an ancho chili, whatever you have will work. They'll add a different smokiness, so just be aware of that. These go into a bowl, and we pour over some just boiled water. This is going to rehydrate the chilies, make them more supple and blendable. Cover that, set it aside, about 20 minutes or so. In the meantime, we'll get the rest of our ingredients into the food processor. Whilst the word harissa does come from the word harassa, which means to pound, I am not about pounding all of these spices with a pestle and mortar. I'm going to use my trusty food processor, and I recommend that you do too. Some grated garlic, some smoked paprika, caraway seeds, ground cumin, and ground coriander. We add some red wine vinegar because it gives a lovely acidity. It's also going to help tenderize our lamb when we come to marinate it. Salt, because salt goes in everything. Salt makes things taste like themselves, and if you want delicious lamb, you need to go generous on the salt. Our chilies have been rehydrating for a little while now, so they're more softened. Get them out of the water. Now, if you prefer it a little bit milder, you could take the seeds out, but I like it spicy, so I'm going to keep them in. And you could really add whatever flavors that you really like to this harissa. You could add some rose water or dried rose petals if you like a rose harissa. You could add more herbs, more spices, really customize it to how you like. And you could even make a double batch, so you use one batch for this and then keep the rest for all of your cooking uses. And I'm going to keep this water just in case the harissa needs a little bit of loosening. I love black pepper. Black pepper goes in everything that I make, so I'm going to do a good few twists of that. And then we add our olive oil. Now, olive oil obviously makes the paste, but it also acts as a preservative, making sure that we've got all of those lovely herbs and spices. And it's as simple as that. We're going to blitz this to a paste, and we have our harissa. Okay, we have our harissa paste. A smooth-ish paste, a beautiful colour, smells fabulous. Our harissa paste is ready now, it smells delicious. It's a kind of mid-smooth paste, not completely smooth, but also not too chunky. It smells great. We're going to set this aside while we prep our lamb, and then we'll get it in the oven. It really is as simple as that.
This is one of my favourite ways to prepare lamb for Easter. First of all, I'm going to make a really delicious garlic spiced paste to smear all over our leg of lamb. So we start with 6 garlic cloves. I'm going with the old-fashioned method of just pounding everything in a pestle and mortar here, but you could pop it all into a food processor to make it a bit easier if you like. So I've got some nice crunchy salt, which is just going to act as a bit of an abrasive against the garlic. Just start pounding that up to a nice smooth paste. So time to go in with some more ingredients to flavour this garlic up. Okay, so we've got some lovely fresh chopped oregano going in. Lovely rosemary. Rosemary and garlic just pairs so well together. Some fresh lemon zest, a little bit of zing and brightness. Then we've got some cinnamon, which is a really nice ingredient with lamb. It brings that kind of Greek flavour profile to the dish. Lovely and fragrant. And then lots of black pepper. And finally, some good olive oil. So we'll just combine that nicely. Pound those herbs down a little, which will just help to release the lovely oils in the herbs and those beautiful flavours. Wish we had smell-o-vision because this smells incredible.
So the first thing that I'm going to do is to cut a few incisions into the lamb, and then I'm going to tuck all of these flavours inside. I'm going to cut several incisions, about 5 centimetres deep, and I'm also going to do it on an angle so that then the ingredients don't pop back out. I'm just going to take a little bit of each of these ingredients and tuck it in. Pop those slices of garlic in. I'm going to follow that with some rosemary, and then I'm going to tuck in some anchovy. Now, some of you might be recoiling and thinking, I definitely don't want that fishy flavour. Don't worry, it's just going to give it some nice saltiness, a bit of umami, and really in the heat it's just going to dissolve, and you won't be left with any fishy flavour, I promise. I'm just going to fill up the rest of the incisions with the garlic, anchovy and rosemary. It really is that simple. So I'm just going to alternate between thyme and rosemary just to add a little bit of flavour, but you could just use one of them, so just use rosemary or just use thyme. You could do a mixture of each into each incision. When you're selecting your leg of lamb, try and choose one that's from a grass-fed or free-range lamb. That indicates that it's had higher welfare standards. So I've stuffed those incisions full of flavour now. I'm just going to pour over some olive oil, rub that in, and also some salt and pepper.
Okay, on to the star of our show, our leg of lamb. We've got a 2 kilo leg of lamb here, which is comfortable to feed 8 to 10, I would say, or maybe 6 very hungry people. I always hate telling people how much to eat because I know that my partner and I could take this down between us. But that's neither here nor there. We're gonna make some cuts into the leg of lamb. Use a sharp knife with a bit of pressure. You want to go quite far down so that the marinade can penetrate that meat, and make cuts around 8 centimeters long. Don't forget the underside either. I'm going to generously season this with salt, just to make sure we've got plenty of flavour going through that meat. Now, I am generous with my salt. All of my colleagues here in the Good Food Test Kitchen know my affinity for salt. It's getting out of hand. Okay, lamb prepped, and we can get this into the roasting tin and get our harissa onto it.
24 hours later. But it's not 24 hours later because I'm wearing the same clothes. You guys know it's not 24 hours later, but let's pretend it's 24 hours later. This lamb has actually been in the fridge for 24 hours because Jess prepared it yesterday. Thank you, Jess. So now it's time to wrap the meat up and get it in the oven. Now, what makes Kleftiko really different from other lamb recipes that you might cook is the preparation of wrapping it in parchment before cooking it, and also cooking it alongside some lovely potatoes, which will soak up those lemony, garlicky flavours. So let's get on to getting this into the tin. What we need to do first is make the parcel. So I've got some foil here. You want 2 nice sheets of foil, which you're going to pull into a big cross shape. We'll do another one in the other direction. So we're making a big lammy Christmas present, Easter present here. And we're going to top that with a layer of baking parchment. Right, let's scrunch it up. This is a good tip. I use this tip when you're lining tins, if you want the parchment to stay in one place. Scrunch it up and then it becomes much more malleable and it will do what you want it to do. So then we'll go in the other direction. Give it another scrunch. Okay, there we go. So that's our parcel. Now I've got a nice deep roasting tin here. I'm going to press this into the tin. In we go. Okay, now we want potatoes on the bottom. So I've got some lovely red skin potatoes here. This is another reason I love this recipe, because the potatoes and the meat is all cooked in one nice neat little parcel. Minimal washing up, always good. And it means you just get those lovely flavours soaking into the potatoes and they're so tasty and delicious. So level those out. I'm just going to drizzle with a little bit of olive oil. Some salt and pepper in there. Lots of nice pepper. And then we'll just poke a few bay leaves in amongst the potatoes as well. Give that a little mix up. Okay, then in with our lamb. Now we're going to tip the whole load in. Don't leave any of those delicious juices behind. That smells incredible. I can't tell you how good it smells. Okay, so next we need to wrap this baby up. So just scrunch everything over the top. You want to make sure it's all really well sealed because it's going to trap that steam inside, which will just keep the meat really succulent and juicy. Any little exposed areas, just cover up with another sheet of foil. Want to trap in all of that steam. Okay, so that is going into the oven for about 4.5 hours. Then I'm going to open it up, brown the meat off a little bit, and then we'll see how our potatoes are doing. Into the oven we go. Okay, let's take a look at our lamb. So this has been in the oven for 4.5 hours. Now I'm just going to unwrap, and what we'll do is return this to the oven for another 30 minutes or so, just to brown up the lamb, give it a little bit of colour on the outside. Oh, that is looking gorgeous, smelling lovely. So just tuck that paper around the edge of the tin, just like that. Just exposing that lamb. I'm just going to spoon some of these lovely juices over the top of the lamb. And this will just help it to caramelise and brown up nicely when it goes back into the oven. This smells incredible. I'm so excited to eat this. Okay, so back we go for another 30 minutes or so until it's nicely browned.
Right, I'm going to get that lamb into the roasting tin, but before I do, I'm going to scatter in a couple of onions. They've just been thickly sliced, and that's going to allow the lamb to just sit up slightly, but also that'll infuse with the juices from the lamb, which you can use to make a gravy. Okay, I'm going to get that into a preheated oven that's 220 degrees, 200 fan or gas 7. I'm going to give it 20 minutes just to blast it, and then I'll turn it down to 190 degrees, 170 degrees fan or gas 5. And then you're going to cook it for about 15 to 20 minutes per 500 grams of the lamb. So you'll either need to weigh it before you get started or check the packaging to get the weight. Into the oven it goes.
Okay, we're going in with a base of red onions. These become really jammy and caramelized once they've roasted. Our lovely lamb leg goes straight on top. And then we add in most of this harissa that we've made. Keep about a tablespoon back for the end. Now, if you have the time, marinate this overnight, because as we mentioned before, the red wine vinegar, the acidity in that is going to penetrate the meat and make it even more tender. But if you don't have the time, just go for an hour at room temperature, covered on the side. Okay, time to get your hands dirty. Get this all in the cuts that we made of the lamb. I love this lamb because we cook it for about 4 to 5 hours, which gives it a kind of texture that's somewhere between roasted and pulled. So really tender and soft, but you also get those kind of gnarly, crispy bits around the edges. It is so good. Get those onions covered with the harissa as well. This gets to marinate on the side, 1 hour covered at room temperature or overnight if you have the time. This has been marinating for an hour now and we're ready to get it in the oven. It's got 4 to 5 hours at 140 fan, so you can set it, forget it, and get on with making all your lovely side dishes. It really is that easy. To the oven we go. Ta-da! The most gorgeous looking harissa lamb you ever did see. It's had about 5 hours in the oven, bubbling away, and you can see how much liquid has reduced and come out of it. It's gonna make the most gorgeous gravy. So I'm gonna now rest our lamb. And we rest lamb because when you cook meat, the fibers and the muscles in the meat go like this. And when you rest it, all the juices redistribute and add some really tender meat. So I'll pop this onto our platter. And then we take all of our lovely roasting juices, these lovely jammy onions. You can see them fall apart like that. And they go into a pan to reduce and become our gravy. Right into here. Chicken stock going in. And our reserved harissa from earlier on. Turn that up to pretty much full whack because we want to reduce it nice and quickly, thicken up that gravy and intensify the flavour. And now this gravy has been bubbling away for about 10 minutes. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. Thickened, reduced. We should probably taste it. So many of my friends say, I don't know how to cook, I'm a terrible cook. And I watch them cook when they cook for me and they never taste their food, ever. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course it's gonna be bad because you haven't tasted what it tastes like. So that's, you know, practice what I preach. Sweet, jammy, spicy, could do with a pinch of salt. Da-da-dum. And there we have it. Our gorgeous gravy. This would go really well with some flatbread, some really salty yogurt, a nice oniony parsley salad, maybe some pomegranate seeds, a lovely Middle Eastern kind of spread. A really nice one as we move into warmer weather. I think it's the perfect springtime Sunday roast.
Okay, our Kleftiko has had its final 30 minutes in the oven, looking amazing. So this is completely cooked through now. It's really tender, it's almost falling off the bone. I'm just going to transfer this to a plate, and this needs to rest for about half an hour at least. Wrap it up really warm and it will last for a good couple of hours if you want to get ahead and leave it resting for a while. And then while that rests, I'm going to pop the potatoes back into the oven to crisp up. Back to the oven we go.
Okay, so the lamb has had its time in the oven. I'm going to move it now to a chopping board, and I'm going to cover it with foil and give it some time to rest, just 15 minutes. And then I'm not going to chuck the onions away, I'm going to use those to make a gravy. Okay, I've loosely covered it with foil, going to leave it for 15 minutes, and that's just to make sure the meat is lovely and tender. So I've given it about 15 minutes per 500 grams. That's just because I prefer it to be slightly pinker. But what you can do is leave it a little bit longer, and then that'll be more well done. Also, if you've got a digital thermometer, you can pop it into the thickest part, and it should be about 55 degrees for medium and 70 degrees for well done.
Here are our gorgeous potatoes. Lovely and blistered, they've just caught around the edges. Now for me, the potatoes are actually just as good as the lamb in this dish. They've been sitting in all of those lovely juices. They're quite tangy and lemony from the lemon juice, which just complements the fatty lamb so nicely, cuts through that richness.
It's looking really juicy, which is exactly what I want. And also you can see those pockets of flavour with the anchovy and the rosemary and the garlic. It's looking so good. And that's my super easy roast leg of lamb with anchovies, rosemary and garlic.
So this is ready to serve up. We've got our lamb here, which has just been resting. So it'll be lovely and tender. You can just take 2 forks and shred that meat straight off the bone. See how gorgeous and soft that is, just melting off the bone. And then to serve with our lamb and our lovely lemony potatoes, we've got some fresh tzatziki made here with some nice Greek yogurt and a gorgeous salad. And that is how you make your perfect lamb Kleftiko with potatoes and a few sides. This is my absolute favourite way to prepare lamb. Give it a go, it's super easy and so delicious.
And that is my slow cooked harissa lamb.